Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the Stomp the Bus Show. I'm your host, Mark Harris, and we're Big 12 champions, baby. The Arizona State Sun Devils, who had gone 3-9 the last two seasons, who were picked dead last in the preseason poll, who were an underdog to win this most of the year up until the end, are Big 12 champions in football. What a few days that it's been. Us as ASU fans, we have to enjoy this. We have to bask in the glory of our team making it to the first ever 12-team college football playoff. And you know what? There are people saying we're the worst team in. I'll touch on that later. There are people saying that we don't deserve a bye. They have a point. I actually think they have a point, but I'll talk about that in a bit later. There are going to be detractors. We're good story, all this. Forget about it. We're in, and we don't have to. Thank you, Clemson. Thank you, Clemson, and that kicker nailed a 56-yarder. Thank you. We don't have to go on the road. We don't have to go play at Penn State. We don't have to go play at Texas. No, you get to wait, and you get a bye, and you're going to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. Fiesta Bowl would have been better. Talk about that too. If this is, what a game! What a game against Iowa State. The call to throw it deep to Stovall, that is so emblematic of this team and its aggression. I couldn't even say it. Aggressive. Whether it's how they physically play on the field or how they call games. This is an aggressive team. Almost bit him in the butt against BYU, right? You forego field goals. There was a few other games where they probably left some points on the board by going for it on fourth down, not getting it. But when they were going for it at that time, I wasn't even worried about it. It's this is kind of what we do. This is what we are as a team. Now, everyone thought we would give it to Skattebo. And no sirree, Bob. We're throwing it to our third receiver who entered the game with, not even 200 receiving yards on the year. Credit to Arroyo, man. Schemed him up, wide open, leads to a Levitt rushing touchdown a few plays later. Man. And we can talk about the stars of the game, but credit to the wide receivers and the ASU wide receivers in this game. And Guillory with a great route on that first touchdown catch and that second touchdown catch with him blanketed by Purchase of Iowa State. He just puts the ball for his hand. It was just unreal. That was an unreal catch. I can't even, the noise that left my body was just I couldn't even process it. It was an insane catch, the best catch we've seen from an ASU wide receiver this season. And wow. Malik McClain stepped up on a big catch as well. And what's funny is that catch didn't end up leading to a score, but it did lead to good field position for ASU. Levitt would get sacked on that ensuing drive, but then it led to ASU punting it, pinning Iowa State deep. Defense steps up. They go 3 and out. Iowa State punts it. We have decent field position. Skattebo rips off one of his just otherworldly runs, just otherworldly. And ASU punched it in a few plays later. And it's just, I was nervous up until the end of that game. I won't lie. Or really once they put in Sims. And man, I just that third quarter, if we're talking about a single quarter of football, maybe there's something that happened with the 96 team. Someone else will have to make that judgment for me. That might be the best single quarter of ASU football in its existence. Given the stakes, given how it exactly went down, given the recent history, even given let's just say that end of the Herm era ended. Let's say they ended 5-7, and then they went 6-6 last year. Kind of just much more par for the course for ASU instead of totally dipping down. It would still be huge. It would still be a huge moment. Like ASU had not won an outright conference championship since 1996. They'd never won a conference championship game. They played in one 11 years ago on my senior year of high school and got ran over by Stanford in their home stadium. And it's funny in this game, like that's what it was kind of looking like, that those first few drives by Iowa State. Credit them. Those were good scripted drives. ASU wasn't giving up anything easily. Their running game did a little bit better than I expected early on, but once Brian Ward got a few series under his belt, kind of saw how the offense was playing, it was over then. And then, then the players took over. Javen Robinson had a fantastic game. And maybe he got beat on a few plays by Higgins, who played well, but like nothing deep again. And then that hit he had on Sama knocked the ball right out. That was a really good hit. Like his head was low, popped the ball right out. Like totally, I don't want to say swung the game, but if you're ASU, you don't want Iowa State to march right down for a touchdown and make all of a sudden it's 24-17. You got a game. No, get that turnover right away. And that led to the first Guillory touchdown. Levitt had a few. I don't remember which. I think his 4th and 6 scramble was on the following drive after the Abney pick, which that was kind of some luck. That was Becht. I don't know what he was doing, trying to sidearm it, and then it bounces off the guy's helmet up into the air. Abney catches it and returns it for a little bit. Funny enough, that's the second off a helmet pick ASU's had in its last 2 seasons, because when they played Michael Penix and Washington in 2022, which was their huge upset win that season. Penix probably had his worst throw of his college career. It just bounced off of like his center right up into the air, and Jordan Clark picks it off for a touchdown. It was just a weird play. Funny that's happened kind of. It happened. You have one of those plays happen at like basically the nadir of the program, and then you have it in like the most important game. And that third hit, that was just a great defensive call by Ward, because like there was like 3 guys in the backfield. They just all kind of collapsed on Sama, and he fumbles it again. And then that led to the Skattebo screen touchdown, which just perfect timing of that call. Perfect timing, because that was the exact same call that didn't ice the Oklahoma State game, but helped ASU go up by a lot in the Oklahoma State game. And we bring it out in our final touchdown of the Big 12 championship game to put up 45 points. It's just these last, ever since that UCF game where ASU probably didn't deserve to win that game, just based on a down-to-down basis, how I felt watching the game. They really kind of held on late and kind of made plays late in that game to win, but it was a weird pick six and a punt block return for a touchdown that changed, that kept ASU in that game. But since then, at K-State, you jump on them 24-0. You win 24-14. BYU, you go up 21-0, then 21-3 at half. You're up 28-9 at one point. You hold on to win 28-23. U of A, you win 49-7. This game, sure, it starts out a little slow. It's 10-10 at one point. Then you just turn on the Jets. Turn on the Jets. You go on a 35-0 run in a single game. Unreal. So just a fantastic game. I will be honest. On Thursday of last week, I was overcome with nerves. I was thinking about it all the time because you knew how big of a game that was for ASU. Because we don't know, it's all well and good, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Skattebo will be gone. And, obviously you have Sam Levitt returning, who was incredible in this game. And you feel so great about having Levitt on your side. I think me and Colton will go over this we're going to record on Thursday as well. I just want to get some quick thoughts out there. But Levitt appears to be an upper half QB in this 12-team field. Better than Ewers at Texas. I know that. So we're not going to go over it all right now, but you feel good about having Levitt on your side. And, Mateer didn't even do anything in this game. And that's encouraging because we know that he can contribute. So you can win a game with, Guillory and Stovall and, Skattebo and Brown catching passes, and you mix in a few other guys. Like, it was just so impressive. And sure, like, you did get a little bit of turnover luck and stuff, but when you drop 45 points on someone, and by the way, they could not tackle Skattebo. They had a decent little plan on him early in the game, but once he got rolling, man, those two, it was like a 45-yarder and the 53-yarder. He's just bouncing off guys, man. It is so fun to watch. It is so fun to watch. And, it's not going to, I mean, whomever they play in the Peach Bowl, whether it's Clemson or Texas, like, he's not going to be able to reel off runs like that against them, but he'll have like they're not going to have an easy time taking him down. So again, Skattebo, totally deserved winner of the Big 12 MVP. Nothing more fitting than him having the freaking belt. Him having the belt, I love it, man. He's not going to New York for the Heisman ceremony. He deserves it. I will say he deserves it. I mean, when you have first player since McCaffrey to have 1,500 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards in a season, that is Heisman candidate worthy, 100%. And if you're asking, Mark, who should they take off then? It should be Cam Ward. Cam Ward should not be a Heisman finalist ahead of Cam Skattebo. They could both, like, if there were 5 Heisman finalists and Skattebo was one of them, then that's great. Like, I don't have a problem with that. And Ward as well. The top 3, like Gabriel, I mean, he was incredible in the Big Ten championship game. He's been good all year. And then Gene T and Hunter, like, I'm not arguing them. But Skattebo should have been invited. However, Dillingham mentioned this, like, his name, like, really picked up steam as the season went along. So I get it. I get why it didn't happen. It should have happened, but I get why it didn't happen. The thing that I'm most upset about, Boise State should not be ranked ahead of ASU. ASU should have the 3 under the rules that are in place right now. ASU should be the 3 seed, and Boise State should be 4. Yeah, I understand that Boise has 1 loss, and it's a close loss to Oregon. I totally get it. If you're a Mountain West team, you need to show more dominance week to week over your opponents than Boise State did. They were wobbly at points in this season. Now, credit to them, like, they deserve to be in the playoff. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be in the playoff. They deserve a bye, but they don't deserve a bye over ASU. ASU has two ranked wins in terms of the teams that are ranked right now, Iowa State and BYU. They beat Kansas State when they were ranked 16th, and K-State is now an 8-4 team. So that's still a good win. And then Utah, they was 16th when they played them, but Utah has fallen off since then and went like 5-7. So that one, you can't really throw that one in there. But Boise State has 2 ranked wins, both over the same team in UNLV. So, okay, like beating UNLV twice is big. I will say that, but like all these other games, like, look, ASU and Boise State both played Wyoming. ASU beat Wyoming by 41 points. Boise State won by 4. And I understand, Boise State played in Laramie late in the year, so that explains it. I'm like, yes, that explains why the game was closer. But it would be nice, if I were a Boise State fan, I would have liked to have won that game by 14 points at least, and not 4. So it is tough because I do like Boise State. Like, Boise State is probably, of the programs that I've rooted for the most in my life of college football, Boise State would be 3rd. Like, it's ASU and then Washington because I grew up in Washington. Then it's probably Boise State. Like, I really like those Kellen Moore teams. I like their uniforms. I just like their program. Right? But no, I'm sorry. They should not be ranked ahead of ASU. It's ridiculous. And it would be so much better if the Sun Devils could play in the Fiesta Bowl and not the Peach Bowl. Now, that said, I'm still excited for the Peach Bowl, and I'm still excited for a bye. I will be at the Peach Bowl. probably not the wisest financial decision I've made, just in terms of my current status. But at the same time, I found some flights. I recommend doing one-way flights both times because you can find some deals that way. Now, you might have to go on Frontier. You might have to lay over. I am in no position to be like, oh, I can't do a layover. No, I will be laying over both of those flights. But it's worth. I mean, I just have to be there. That's how I feel. Like I have to be there because we do not know. We don't know when this is going to happen again. It might happen next year, right? It might happen 2 years from now. I think Dillingham has this program on the right track, but ASU could have the exact same rate. ASU could go 10-2 next year. And if the tiebreakers don't work out, then the committee probably isn't putting a 10-2 Big 12 team in the playoff as an at-large. Now, every year is different, but the only 10-2 at-large teams to make it were Ohio State and Tennessee. Pretty sure that's it. That didn't win their conference, right? So Georgia, ASU are both 10-2 conference champions. So they're in as 2 lost teams. Oregon 12-0. Penn State, Indiana, SMU, and Notre Dame all went 11-1 in the regular season. So that's 5 teams. You have Boise State went 11-1 as well. So that's 6 of the 12 teams in went 11-1 or better in their 7 because you have Texas as well. So 7 of the 12 teams in went 11-1 or better. You have 2 10-2 teams, Tennessee and Ohio State, both from the top 2 conferences. And then you have Big 12 auto bid 10-2 team ASU. You have Georgia as a 10-2 team who won their conference championship. And then you have Clemson as a 9-3 team who gets in only by virtue of winning its conference championship. So my point with all that is to say, like, ASU go 10-2 again next year and not make it. They could potentially go 11-1 next year, lose the conference championship, and who knows, right? Like, who knows? If there was a 10-2 SEC team that was on the bubble, like, we don't know. But you know what? That's why this win is so important. That's why winning this conference championship game in this season where you get a bye is so critical. It is so critical because we don't know what the playoff format is going to change in the future. So getting this bye while you can, getting this conference championship right now, first year in the league, and the NIL growth that comes with it. I saw a story from Brad Sesmat on his site that some large ASU boosters were gearing up to donate a substantial sum of money. ASU isn't going to be at the top of the NIL charts, but if they can get up to like a 10 million range per year, that should be pretty good for this program, right? Like, it doesn't seem like Levitt's going anywhere. It doesn't seem like Tyson's going anywhere. There have been some reports of guys who are trickling out as transfers. Most of the guys are like buried in the depth chart. Totally understand. Marquiston Douglas, tight end. He is a second to third string tight end, but he plays. Like, you see him on the field a lot in their heavy formations. He's entering the portal, so that's kind of a loss. I'm glad that all these guys are going to play on the team. I mean, why wouldn't they, right? Like, if you're on this team, you have to take advantage of this. And so all these guys are going to play through the end of the season. But I like that Dillingham's letting them get in the portal now. You have to ease all this stuff as a coach. You can't be can't be like, no, you don't get it. No. You have to help them, honestly, help guide them on their way, because it makes you look good as a coach. Only one that kind of sucks is LaTerrence Welsh, who has been kicked off the team for unspecified reasons, breaking team rules. Don't love that. Now, he didn't even play in the Big 12 championship game, and I didn't even notice. So on one hand, that's great. On the other, this was your third corner the whole year. If we're being honest, he made one of the bigger plays of the entire season with that pick six against Rizek on UCF, the 1 yard pick six. Like, that is a really, really, really consequential play in this season. Really, extremely, because that's the difference in your third loss in the conference had they lost that UCF game. Even if they got hot, everything happened the same, they wouldn't have made the conference championship game. So, tough to see him go. I do trust the cornerback depth, so I'm not really worried about it from that sense. But it's one less guy who has contributed to this team. So losing LT Welsh is not great, but I don't think if ASU gets blown out by Texas in the Peach Bowl, I'm not going to be, oh, this is because we didn't have LaTerrence Welsh. No, I don't think so. He's a good player, but I don't know if he's super impactful. But I don't know. I mean, I trust that they had a reason to let him go, so I'll leave it at that. What else is there to touch on? Oh, I mentioned the format. The top 4 conference champions are not all going to get buys in the future. That's going to change. And that's why it was so big to win this game. It was so big to win this championship and make sure that you have or put yourself in position to get one of those buys. And it turns out that, you needed Clemson to win. You needed them to hold on to that lead that they had. SMU tied it, and then for that kickoff, they get one pass into super long field goal range, and their freshman kicker from Charlotte nails it. It's the most ironic thing. ASU season, ASU season gets impacted positively by a kicker. It's just so funny that it turns out that way. It's just, just from where this program has come, it's still hard to fully wrap your mind around it. How at this time last year, you're like, okay, we're hoping things go well, but at this time last year, we didn't even know who Sam Levitt was. We didn't even know. And you had some of your good players leave. You had Conyers left right after, BJ Green, Jordan Clark, there might be a few other guys, and then Badger leaves later in the spring. So that's unfortunate, but all that stuff, it didn't matter, didn't end up mattering. It is, I guess, save for Jordan Clark, who, I always liked Jordan Clark when he was here, and he was a good player, and he stuck around through some crap. So I don't really have anything, but just from an ASU fan perspective, it is nice that ASU did better than all these teams. So that they transferred to. I won't lie. But no, I'm also, I'm glad they all made money and stuff too. So it's not super bad, but it is nice. It is, it's nice to just win a championship. Even if they get blown out in the first round or the second round, the final 8, they could get blown out by Texas. That is a very real thing that could happen. I could definitely see them losing to Clemson. I could see them losing to Clemson by 10 points. I don't know if I see them getting blown out by Clemson. I saw that there were some hypothetical lines from DraftKings on the Peach Bowl, and both had ASU as underdogs, but they were 4.5 underdog to Clemson and an 11-point underdog to Texas. So there's real, if Clemson wins, they will have a lot more fans in the stadium than Texas would. But either way, you're going to be the underdog in terms of fans at the Peach Bowl. There will be a good amount of ASU fans there because people have time to plan for it and travel. But we will be outnumbered by Texas or Clemson. We'll just be more outnumbered by Clemson if we play them. But you want to play Clemson. Clemson is still, they still have some 5 stars. They still have some really good players. Their wide receiver Wesco is really good. Klubnik is a better quarterback now than he was to start this season for sure. He's a decent quarterback. He's probably, he's better than yours. And but still, like the whole body of work is them as a team. Like they're just not as good as they used to be, and you saw it in the SMU game even. So um, you saw it in some of their wins this year. They got like their loss. I think their only conference loss. They got kind of manhandled by Louisville, and it's an 8-4 Louisville team, a decent team, but not that good. So it's a good place to be in. It would be better to be in the Fiesta Bowl. It would be. I mean, a lot more people could go, but this is. I tweeted this is a champagne problem, man. Like this is a champagne problem for ASU. That'd be like, oh, we're not going to our preferred second round bowl game. Oof. And another weird part of it is like 3 of the 4 teams who are on buys are all Western schools, right? Because it's Oregon, Boise State, and ASU. 2 former Pac-12 teams, and then Boise State. It's kind of a weird, just how it all worked like that. So that does, and if one of the quarterfinal games was in Dallas, then it wouldn't be so bad for ASU fans. But having it be the Peach Bowl, like that is kind of annoying. Like I'd rather, if it's going to be in the South, like I'd kind of rather have it be in New Orleans or Miami if it's going to be in the South. But Atlanta's good too, and Atlanta also isn't like quite the same, just in terms of a travel perspective, like of a New Year's Eve destination than New Orleans or Miami. So from that perspective, it's good. It's also a place, there's so many hotel rooms in that area. It's like built, it's a convention type city similar to Phoenix. So they can absorb the influx of people coming in. But yeah, I mean, these are just kind of my initial thoughts. I'm not too worked up about the Cam Skattebo thing. Would have been great, but it's also like, you know what, like the fact that we're even complaining about this, that like, I'm just, him winning the Big 12 championship MVP is the most important award of all, because that means we won the game. So awesome to see. It would have been interesting if we had played Colorado or BYU in that game. I'm starting to think it wouldn't have mattered how we played and how we ran the ball, and how BYU didn't exactly stop Skattebo either, and Colorado didn't have that great of a run defense. So happy for the players, happy for the coaches, assistant coaches made their money, and just a good place to be, man. Colton and I are going to talk about this more later in the week. I just wanted to share some thoughts now that kind of the dust has settled. So go Devils. Go Devils men's basketball, and they play Florida, I believe, this weekend. Bobby Hurley was at the game, which was nice, and it's just good to see all this, man. I mean, it's just in the fall sports calendar, that's 2 conference championships. Volleyball, whose season is now over, but still a great regular season for them, and ASU football winning the conference championship. Like, it's just hasn't happened in 28 years. So I was an infant, I mean, they did in 07, they won a shared conference title, but it's not the same as this one. So please like and subscribe, rate and review, follow the Big 12 Huddle, or the College Huddle podcast network. A lot of great fan driven content there. I'm sure they have a lot of stuff, for the playoff, and we'll keep talking about it as the end of the year continues and gets closer and closer. But I'm recording this on the 10th. 3 weeks off, 3 weeks to just kind of walk around being like, yeah, we're in the Peach Bowl, man. We're in the Peach Bowl. We're in the playoff. Have fun at your piddly little bowl games. See, like that's such a big difference too. Like Iowa State goes from in the Peach Bowl, college football playoff, to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's like, man, that's a drop. So not something we have to worry about. Feels good. We deserve this, as we've said on the show. We deserve this. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk later this week. And most importantly, go Devils, baby.